I read it.
He misses it a little bit, but he says he's getting beautiful.
Since call this meeting in order, budget flag, Supervisor Wild.
Oh, really interesting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to welcome everybody and ask the clerk to do the roll call.
Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mr. Mayday?
Here.
Mr. Diamond?
Here.
Ms. Gilligan? Here. Ms. Turner? Here. Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Driscoll?
Here.
Mr. Patchit?
Here.
Mr. Drossy?
Here.
Mr. Bean?
Here.
Mr. Cressida?
Here.
Mr. Merlino?
Here.
Mr. Stroud?
Here.
Mr. Wild?
Here.
Mr. McGowan?
Here.
Mr. Strainer?
Here.
Mr. Etu?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Runyon? Here. Chairman Garrity?
Here.
Quorum is established.
Okay. First item of business, the motion to approve the December 20th, 2024 board meeting and the January 3rd, 2025 organization meeting. Motion by Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor Diamond. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Here,
Abstain for the January 3rd.
okay. Privileged floor and public comment. Anybody wish to address the board? Sure, you can, you wish to address. You were going after. Yep. Please state your name for the record.
Lisa Adamson. I'm with North Country Earth Action, and my partner Diane Collins and I came in late November, early December, and we'd like to come once quarterly and report to the board on what we're hearing in terms of climate awareness and action in the county. And Diane's away, so I'm representing us both. We're not experts, but what we're hoping is that by reporting and also I sit on the Warren County Climate Smart Community Committee, that we can spark interaction in each municipality or help you all communicate with your constituents about what it is possible to do on a community level in terms of climate. I wanted to start I'm sure you all know this, but on an international level, I'm concerned about the new incoming administration pulling out of the Paris Accords. And I want to give a shout out to my own municipality under Supervisor Stroud for back in 2017 when that happened, before we put out a statement called "We're Still In," and that reflects a nationwide effort among mayors and governors supporting the Paris Accords, and the Paris Accords are an international agreement amongst 196 nations that we want to keep our emissions level of CO2 in the atmosphere down to 1.5 degrees Celsius. My understanding is we've already reached that, but that it's not necessarily going to hold. It was a spike, and I think it was this year as the result of so many warm years in a row. But I think that there's still opportunity to mitigate that level. On a more positive note, again, nationally and internationally, I was on a Zoom the other day with Climate Reality, and they're indicating that renewable capacity is way up. And especially in wind and solar, we're seeing tremendous exponential advances with renewable energy. So that's international, national. On a state level, Diane and I are doing our best. We are not experts, but we hope that if you need us, we can be a resource for you in collating what's happening on a national and a state level. The governor gave her state of the state last week, and in terms of climate, I personally found it not as encouraging and dynamic as I would wish to see it. So then a lot of work falls to local, her constituents to pressure her. What we want to do is get the New York Heat Act back into the budget as she did last year. It was passed in the Senate last year, not in the Assembly. This will enable residents in Warren County and residents in New York State more easily to access renewable energy sources. We would like her to restate her cap, trade, and invest policy. We'd like her to support the Better Bottle Bill, the Repackaging Act. There's a climate education bill, and to stand behind her her trade and invest. I think I'm saying it wrong, but her policy on invest and trade. On a county level, I want to applaud Warren County for the great work they've been doing. Mr. Conover, you know about this, everybody does, but the great work that they've been doing on the zero waste and the composting and recycling. We recently, I say we, I'm sitting on the Warren County Climate Smart Community Committee, and they have recently received a matching grant for $100,000, and $100,000 will be supported by the county for a pilot composting project while we're waiting for the county to get their larger composting initiative going. On the CSC committee, the other efforts that they are working on is to renew their bronze level with NYSERDA and the DEC, and these levels are points and credits towards additional funding from the state for renewable projects and for anything that reduces emissions. The county, I also believe, is considering working towards a greenhouse gas emission inventory and hopefully a climate action plan, which I think is really important for a county and for a municipality to have. The town of Queensbury, I also sit on that CSC committee, and again, I applaud Supervisor Strau and the board. We have a reuse shed that should be operative maybe this month, I hope. So that's over at the Ridge Street transfer station. And then on a grassroots, we're continuing to do the compost pickup project that we do volunteer Saturdays for the farmers markets. You've got local nonprofits, the Zero Waste Warren County Committee, the Clean Air Action Committee, my Water Quality Committee, the Assembly Point Water Quality Coalition, and Diane's and my group, the North Country Earth Action. And I just want to say, if you are talking with anybody in your towns and they say, well, what can I be doing right now? There's an app that you can put on your phone, put out by Climate Action Now. Very easy, very user-friendly. You can just swipe through. It helps you email officials as to what bills and policies they might be interested in knowing about. And it reports on metrics around the state, around the country, around the world, like on, how many trees are going in where. And lastly, and this is, I just put out this book that I did with children. I have limited copies, but if any of you would find it useful to have in your town, I left my cards out there in the front, and please just contact me and I'll give you a copy. The introduction, I think, does a pretty good job of collating what the issues are in our area. And I had 13 local children contribute with cartoons, so it's a graphic book. So please get a hold of me if you'd like one. Okay, thanks
Thank you.
again for letting us talk.
Matt, did you want to address this before the state of the county or wait till after? Okay. All right, anybody else wish to address the board? Public comment? No? Well, I think we'll go right into the state of the county. I'd like to thank everybody who helped work on this. They did a very good job for me to relay this message to everybody in the room today. Warren County has demonstrated fiscal responsibility and strategic investment in essential services and infrastructure over the past 2 years. Consecutive reductions in property tax rates alongside increased spending in critical areas reflects the county's commitment to enhancing the quality of life for its residents while maintaining fiscal stability. The Board of Supervisors adopted $192 million budget in 2024, marking the fourth consecutive year of a countywide property tax rate decrease. The rate was reduced by 29 cents to $3.28 per thousand of assessed value, resulting in a $58 reduction for a homeowner with a property assessed at $200,000. However, challenges in road and infrastructure projects, many that resulted from significant storms in 2023, required the county to allocate additional $8 million at the beginning of 2024 to address these issues. The resulting general fund balance was reduced to $32.3 million, which is still at the controller's recommended general fund level. Key allocations in 2024. Public transportation funding was provided to continue public transportation services through a new contract with CDTA. Warren County contributes 0.25% of mortgage recording tax to this effort. In 2024, the contribution was approximately $800,000. Infrastructure. Initially, $4 million was allocated to pave county roads and maintain road conditions. An additional $7.9 million was allocated to repair storm damage and upgrade culverts. Additional funding from the state and federal government supplement this expense. Education. Increased funding was provided to SUNY Adirondack to address the state directed sponsorship levels, 1/3 funding provided by local sponsors. Additionally, the budget addressed rising costs of state retirement, Medicaid, and personnel funding. The county eliminated 13 full-time positions and 6 part-time positions in 2024. 6 full-time positions were added also, 5 of which were funded 72% by the New York State. Budget year 2025. The board unanimously approved the $207 million budget for 2025, representing a 7.4% increase from the previous year. However, when you add the additional $8 million the board approved in 2024, the actual budget increase was roughly 3%. Even with spending increase, much of which was driven by unfunded New York State mandates, the property tax rate decreased by 2 cents to $3.26 per thousand assessed value. This was the 5th straight year the tax rate reductions. On a particular note, Warren County addressed the property tax value, Warren County's assessed property tax value increased to $15.1 billion to $16.2 billion, which is a substantial increase for a county our size. Infrastructure, $5.1 billion was allocated for road maintenance, which is an increase of $1.1 million. Workforce investment. Recent labor contracts resulted in a $1.7 million increase in employees' wages for 2025, aiming to improve workforce retention. No new positions were created and 4 full-time positions were eliminated. Public Works. Additional expenditures were approved for the DPW to consolidate waste hauling across the county, which will provide significant cost savings to the towns within the county. And that took effect in January 1st of this year. It's noteworthy for the first time in Warren County, it's noteworthy that for the first time, Warren County exceeded the New York State property tax cap with a 6.62% increase. This decision was driven by escalating costs in state mandated services, retirement, and inflation-related expenses. Economic overview. All indicators show Warren County economies is on solid footing as we head into 2025. Tourism revenue is projected to increase 12% in 2025 due to Lake George waterfront developments funded by New York State downtown revitalization initiatives. Funds and winter sports investments funded by the Olympic Regional Development Authority, ORDA, and tourism represents 1/3 of the county's economy. And as you know, ORDA is building a new lodge up in the town of Johnsburg near Little Gore, and that's going to be a big boost to that community. Property values were up 8% last year, but should see more moderate increase in 2025. The average cost of a home in Warren County is listed at $325,000. County unemployment rate is projected to decrease by 0.2% to 3.6%. Expanding high-speed internet, particularly in rural areas, will remain a focus for improving both economic opportunities and education. And that also goes for cell service. We still don't want to lose our cell service. We still have a lot of pockets in town that do not have good cell service, and we're going to continue to work on that. Healthcare will remain 1/3 of the county's economy. This year, Warren County will unveil its comprehensive plan, Warren County 2040, which I believe, Nate, you're going to talk to a little bit later on. And the plan has been uploaded on the county website now. The plan will provide a critical roadmap for navigating the county's future. With an aging population, workforce shortages, and moderate housing crisis, strategic planning will be essential to ensure sustainable growth and economic resilience. Warren County 2040 is a product of a significant investment of time and energy over the past 2 years by supervisors, county staff, and members of the general public. The plan was a comprehensive collaborative effort that will be released in March. Major accomplishments. The Senior Transportation Program that was a collaborative between the Office of Aging and Office of Veteran Services. This was a program that we lost about a year, well, prior to this in 2023. It was very important to a lot of the up county communities to have senior transportation. With the help of Office of the Aging and our Veterans Department, we were able to put those buses back, and the usage continues to increase every month, as far as I know. It's being well used up county, and I'm sure very much needed services for our seniors. Warren County achieved a clean audit for the 22nd consecutive year. Established a risk management part of the county's office of the county attorney's office. Savings was over $100,000 in insurance costs this year. And that's something that county attorney brought to us at the end of 2024. And so far it's worked out, and the savings, as stated, will continue to escalate. A lot of good programs will also be driven out of this. Implementation of electronic monitoring of juveniles to prevent detention and placement. Development of composting pilot to determine the feasibility of a countywide composting site. Completed 100% assessment of 1,500 countywide culverts and bridges. This will guide TPW repair and replacement of culverts well into the future. Obligated 100% of the $12.4 billion of ARPA funds that were awarded to the county. Effectively managed a large influx of visitors during the eclipse with no incidents. County bond rating remains at AA with a minimum outstanding debt at $44.5 million. Major goals for 2025. Maximize the use of almost $8 million in obviously tax to prioritize enhancing infrastructure to support tourism, investment in outdoor recreation and hospitality. Continue efforts to retain and attract new businesses, particularly in technology and healthcare related to products, maximizing tax benefits for startups and small businesses. Continue investment in roads, broadband access, and public transportation. Work to expand healthcare services in rural areas, focusing on improving mental health resources, and begin to address the growing demand for senior care services. Work with the city, towns, and village to develop strategy for addressing the critical emergency medical services, which will begin to see a gradual increase over the coming years. Continue to enhance and grow the workforce development initiatives for youth through school upgrades, vocational training programs, and partnerships with local businesses. And remain good stewards of county taxpayer dollars and maintain transparency with county residents. Work with counties in NISAC, Northern Region, to resolve Regional Forensic Center challenge. Begin discussions on options and alternative for Warren County Rail Line. Address the rapidly aging fleet of Warren County Sheriff's Department cars. Implement composting project. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the collaborative and collegial atmosphere in 2024. Our committees and the Board of Supervisors worked efficiently and effectively to provide very best service to residents of the county. There will be challenges in 2025, but we will continue to focus on the most important projects, priorities that will make the county one of the best places to live in the state and the country. Most of you know from the work as supervisors on our various committees, but we are blessed to have the most professional, competent, and dedicated county workforce, department leaders that always strive to do the right thing for our constituents. With that, I conclude this State of the County, and I'll ask if anybody has any questions about what we address. Okay, Supervisor Simpson is our guest today. Matt is a longtime member of our board.
Supervisor Simpson.
A good friend of ours, and we had a lot of good times. And Supervisor Molina was showing pictures of a trip that we made to DC several years ago. So Matt, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you,
for
Chairman.
coming.
I just wanted to stop in and wish you all a happy new year and, and congratulate you guys on what you have accomplished last year and what you will accomplish through your collaborative efforts and hard work over the next year. Last week or this week, my weeks are already starting to blend together. We are in session now. We've had 3 days of session. Tuesday, we had the governor's State of the State address. And this year it was in the Egg. And so it was well attended. Traditionally, it's in the assembly. The senators come over to our chamber and we all sit next to each other and she addresses us. But this was different. There was a lot of entertainment and a lot of fanfare. And then she outlined, kind of the high level focus of what she's looking at in her budget, which will be released next week. That's really where we'll see the nuts and bolts, where her priorities will be accomplished and the effects it'll have on our budget. Some of the things, many of the things that the governor outlined were great goals that anybody would have. Low cost or free education at, for 25-year-olds to 55-year-olds at SUNY and CUNY. That's a great workforce that will have a great workforce benefit, as well as I think education is really the key out of this situation. We are statewide, nationally. I think education is the key. There is a proposal to increase the child care tax credit, the tax credit to $1,000, which I support. I think it's needed. There isn't anyone out there that doesn't recognize how difficult it is for families right now that have young children and the cost of childcare. We heard estimates as high as $21,000, $22,000 a year families are paying for childcare. Now imagine doing that on a minimum wage salary and trying to balance your budget, feed your family, and all the other external challenges that are out of your control. So, these are all great goals. The one thing that the governor didn't talk about was how we're going to pay for that. This was all meant to address the affordability issue that we all agree. The Assembly, the Senate, the governor, we are all on the same page. Affordability is the number one issue that we need to tackle this year. And we'll see next week where that money is going to come from. I don't think we're in a financial position that we have a whole lot of money sitting there in the coffers at the state to pay for these things. Some of these programs could potentially have an effect on county revenues and expenses. That's where I'm going to be focused on, looking at how we're going to make this happen. From my time on the board, there's, cost to any social, intervention that we fund. There's going to be a change in the involuntary commitment law, which I think is something that we've got to look at. There are people on our streets that have significant mental health challenges that can't make decisions that are putting themselves in harm's way. And there was a change where now we couldn't, have authority over them to protect them. Now there's potentially going to be a change in that law, and there will be a cost to that. So a lot of good goals, as I said in the beginning, but what we need to be mindful of and where we really need to focus is how we can afford this, where this money is going to come from, and are we going to pull ourselves out of this affordability issue and lift all New Yorkers? I think that should be our goal, lift all New Yorkers. And every region of New York is challenged in a different way. New York City is experiencing a challenge with their transportation costs, the MTA. That's got a huge $76 billion price tag on it that, is vital to New York State. It's vital to the world's economy that New York City survives in their financial markets. We have transportation needs here. Are we again going to see a proposed cut to our CHIPS funding, which we saw that last year? Are we going to see potential cuts to our aid to our local schools that would have a direct impact on your taxes, if there is, because we do need to educate our children. We are all on the same page on that. It's just who's going to pay for that? Is it going to be the state? Is it going to be local taxpayers? So everything we do has an impact. And, we're partners with the counties. And I know there's a lot of, you guys really focused a lot on whether, informing your budget, how you were going to protect taxpayers in the future. And, we're doing the same thing. We'll have a better idea Tuesday. And once we get through the budget analysis as to where we can work and where we can ensure that we are good partners with the counties, that we are working collaboratively, and we can hopefully make good decisions for all New Yorkers. So I just wanted to give an update on that and more to just say hello. Fortunately, I'm not in Albany today, but Tuesday we'll be back there and ready to work hard. And I'm having a fantastic start to session. I'm really upbeat and energized. You can't drive to Albany with the weight of all these ifs and ands and, the challenges that we have and just go there with an attitude that you're already challenged. You've got to go there. You've got to be energized. You got to be upbeat. You got to be willing to work and work hard and work long days. And we're just heading into that. So just wanted to put a positive spin on all the negative stuff out there in the world. So.
Any questions? Well, we appreciate your visiting, and don't be a stranger, and maybe we'll come down to see you down in Albany someday.
I invite anyone to come down. The chamber is an amazing place to see. We actually had an update over the summer. We haven't had carpet exchange in 70 years. So we all have new desk, new carpets. The chamber is an incredible place to visit. I will make sure that everyone gets a tour, and anybody that's there during session, I can also introduce you on the floor and have the speaker welcome you and offer you the cordialities of the floor. It's kind of a great experience, great place to visit. So you're all welcome. Take a field trip.
Well, thanks for coming, Matt.
Thank you.
Because we're just getting started, unless one of the supervisors would like to comment now on a committee or anything that's going on, we'll go right down. Does anybody have anything to report?
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Rob?
thank you very much. I just have one thing for the board. As chair of the Local Development Corporation, I want to thank Mr. Molino, Supervisor Molino, for all his time and effort, but he is going to retire from that committee. this coming March, I believe. So if we can get another person from the board to join us, I'd very much appreciate it. Please let me know if you're interested, and I can tell you it's only once a month.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else wish to address the board right now? Seeing none? All right, we'll go into the report of the county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A short report today, but there is a floor resolution today requesting support for an infrastructure grant of $1 million. There's a local match requirement of, it looks like, less than $50,000. The resolution says 43,000. We won't know the actual amount until the grant's awarded, but we are pretty optimistic about getting that. You have a handout from the planning office that lists some of the projects we think it can be used for. Assemblyman Simpson covered most of the key points from the governor's state of the state. I've done an analysis. I'll send a synopsis out to you by email of some of the points that she made in the state of the state that I think will impact the county and also the towns in the village and the city of Glens Falls. Our contractor who is doing our boardroom renovation was here yesterday. The Assemblyman mentioned the legislature. Our carpet hasn't been replaced in 65 years and these desks are 65 years old. So we had some furniture, long lead items that we're waiting for. Once they come in, we'll proceed with the renovation so we can do it all quickly. I really appreciate your support on this. Employee anniversary dates, I neglected to do the December anniversary date, so I'll cover those and also the January. For December, James Scramble, OES, 20 years. Heidi Aldrich, Social Services, 21 years. Shelley Thompson, Countryside Adult Home, 24 years. Damon Baker, DPW, 27 years. Teresa Coate, Public Health, 31 years. And also John Taflin, 2 years. And time flies. So, for January, Colby LaBelle, Sheriff's Office, 20 years. Susan Ringler, Public Defender, 21 years. Dan Durkee, Public Health, 22 years. Bobby Broadway, Social Services, 22 years. Dustin Spring, Sheriff's Office, 22 years. Nancy Abbott, District Attorney, 22 years. David Didio, the Sheriff's Office, 23 years. Wayne Farmer, the Sheriff's Office, Corrections, 24 years. Mary Kate Livingston, Social Services, 25. Joanne Finn, Employment and Training, 27. Russ Lale, Sheriff, 28. Craig Briggs, Public Health, 32. And Bob Busey, Probation, 35. And also, I missed Rob Lynch, the Treasurer's Office, 22 years. And if you haven't heard, Rob Lynch intends to retire this year. We thank him for his continued service to the county. It's been absolutely phenomenal. To those of you who wore red and gray today in honor of the Ohio State Buckeyes in the national championship, I'd like to say thanks. You can see from the dais that I seem to have prepped everyone up here pretty well, and I appreciate that. If your hearts bleed gold and blue, I'll just say cheers, cheers for old Notre Dame. Coming here from Baltimore, I can't bring myself to say go Bills yet, but tomorrow that will definitely be the game to watch. So, thank you, Mr.
All right. County Attorney.
Sorry.
Okay. County.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Taken back by his comments.
Oh, no, I thought that was a question from the floor. So, thank you, Chairman. I'm going to start with the tax foreclosure lawsuit. A tremendous amount of thanks and gratitude to our Director of Real Property Tax Services and to our county treasurer and her team. We're working under a new regime and a new series of new state statutes that govern tax foreclosure. And myself and my team are very thankful and grateful for the input, suggestions, advice, comments, and corrections that we've been receiving as we try to work through the new requirements and how they're going to fit. One of the main changes that's occurring for the tax foreclosure lawsuit is it's starting sooner. Historically, Warren County started and commenced the lawsuit to do the foreclosure in the first week of March. We have now been required to move that up to the first week of January. In fact, on January 3rd, we commenced the annual tax foreclosure lawsuit. The reason is that the new state statutes are providing homeowners a longer period of time to redeem their property before they lose the ability to come in and pay back taxes, which is the last day of redemption. This year, there's 445 parcels in the tax foreclosure lawsuit. That number, I believe, is substantially higher than in past years. And I think that's in part because of the earlier start of the lawsuit, which in effect gave people 3 less months to come in to pay their taxes before we start the lawsuit. We are hopeful that the first publication of the lawsuit and the properties that are all subject to tax foreclosure will appear in our local papers on January 25th. So because we're starting the lawsuit sooner, the goal is to still have the process completed, a judgment of foreclosure issued in time to have that tax auction sale in October, as we have historically done. As far as notices of claim, we have received no new notices of claim since the last board meeting on December 20th. We have one newly filed lawsuit. It's a lawsuit by the Village of Hudson Falls against the town of Queensbury, town of Kingsbury, County of Washington, and County of Warren. It involves and concerns a boundary line dispute between the Village of Hudson Falls and the town of Queensbury, which also happens to be the boundary line for the County of Warren and the County of Washington and the town of Kingsbury. It involves Warren Street and Quarry Crossing. And the issue in dispute is which of the two municipalities, town of Queensbury and the Village of Hudson Falls, does that street fall under for purposes of road maintenance going forward. There's a first and initial court appearance on January 31st, 2025. In consultation with our Department of Public Works, the county does not have a strong material interest in the outcome from a public works perspective. However, that town boundary line is also the county boundary line, so we will be observing and monitoring going forward, keeping the board apprised of the action as it continues forward. In random items, the Board of Ethics will have its initial meeting for 2025 on February 5th at 2 p.m. here in the Supervisors Boardroom. I encourage all mandatory filers in Warren County government to get their financial disclosure statement filed by the end of January, which is the deadline, as that will be I believe it's going to be one of the first items and issues addressed is the annual review of financial disclosure statements that the Board of Ethics will most likely undertake. I also just want to commend and thank, I got to sit in and as the legal advisor to the newly formed and created Warren County Risk and Safety Committee meeting. It was an excellent turnout and wonderful participation from all of the committee members, many of whom are department heads. They are planning on doing monthly meetings going forward, the third Thursday of each month. The concept really is to have that committee reviewing all of the incident reports of what happens from a risk and safety perspective in Warren County, and to be in a position to review and make recommendations, policy revisions that can then come to this Board of Supervisors for further action going forward. And I believe it's going to be a crucial part of our risk management program going forward into 2025 and then into the future. And just as a quick plug for what you'll see in in the committee meetings coming forward, it's my hope they spend a tremendous amount of time working through an updated and consolidated county vehicle use policy. Warren County and its various departments all had, there was a county policy, and then many departments had their own sub policies. So the goal was to consolidate and bring together one policy that would apply to the entire county fleet. And we're hopeful, based on the work that was done at the committee yesterday, that we will be able to present that to committee in this upcoming cycle. The last thing I'm just going to touch on for discussion purposes, or at least information purposes, is over the last 6 to 8 weeks, we have worked to drastically revise and reform our method of contracts. We are working on a new workflow for all county contracts. In 2024, the county entered into approximately 1,000 contracts over the course of the year. Not all of those contracts come through resolution. Some are within the authority of departments to approve, but it's a tremendous amount of workflow, and it hasn't been standardized in the past. We've worked to create with again, with really excellent assistance from the purchasing department, from Julie Butler, from the treasurer's office as well, standard forms that will be published on the county website. It'll have first our standard contract terms, so every single vendor knows before they submit a bid or respond to a request for proposals what the standard contract terms are. Those are not something that we need to keep secret or hidden until we're into the contract negotiations. Second, there'll be very clear requirements for insurance, the types of insurance and the amounts, as well as indemnification and who's responsible if something goes wrong. And third, very clear requirements that are standardized for non-discrimination laws and requirements as a municipality that are placed on vendors and contractors that do work with us. I don't believe that the end result of those three standardized terms and conditions will basically result in a one-page contract. I believe for the vast majority of contracts going forward in Warren County. If we can get 80% of the contracts down to a single page of material terms, what that does is it provides the key players, the purchasing department, the county attorney's office, the treasurer's office, and the departments, the ability to really expend resources, not on 1,000 contracts, but on the ones that are really important and material to Warren County. So that's what we've been working on. And in the next 30 to 45 days, my hope is we'll be launching into that so that it becomes part of our normal bid packages, part of our requests for proposals, so that this process can get streamlined and we can really focus our resources where they need to be, which are on usually our higher dollar contracts and more complex agreements that we enter into over the course of the year. Subject to any questions from members of the board, thank you for your attention, and that's all I have for today. And I guess I'll just add, a more full litigation update will be at the Personnel Committee.
Thank you. Okay, we're going, yes, Supervisor.
Kevin, not for Larry, but I apologize. I was asleep at the wheel when you asked for committee reports. I have a guest in the audience this morning. Jolene Munger began her position as the new executive director of Catholic Charities of Saratoga, Warren, and Washington counties in August. Even during the holiday season, she's been out networking. Our main office is in Saratoga Springs. She's been out networking throughout Warren County and over in Washington County also, and will continue to do that during 2025. And I just wanted to introduce her. Also, I sent out the Human Service Committee, report of, DSS, earlier this week, all supervisors, and John Bow from Cornell Cooperative Extension, dropped off, their monthly update, report on your desk this morning. So again, apologize. Thank you.
That's fine.
Chairman,
Yes.
yeah, if I could take a mulligan to, the county planning department wanted me to say that the comp plan in its draft form was uploaded to the Warren County 2040 website this morning and is there for review. It'll come next to the Economic Growth and Development Committee on January 24th. Also uploaded this morning was the Outdoor Recreation Economy Strategic Plan for anyone's review. So those are both there. Anybody looking for weekend homework, you can read those.
Hey, anybody else? Okay, we'll go reading of communications.
We have received the county auditor's real property tax corrections report for December of 2024. Capital District Track Betting Corp's financial reports dated July 31st, August 31st, and September 30th of 2024. And we received separate letters from Next Amp Solar providing notice that the Northern Gateway Renewables LLC, as well as the Southern Gateway Renewables LLC, are exercising their option and stating, starting the development and construction period associated with the amended and restated option and ground lease, which was executed on September 26th of 2023 and amended on June 20th of 2024.
Here we go to reading of resolutions.
Proclamation numbers 1 through 4, tabled resolution number 454 of 2024, resolution number 6 through 20, certificates of appointment 1 through 3, and floor resolution numbers 1 through 10 were distributed to the members of the Board of Supervisors and posted to the Warren County website on Monday, January 13th. Floor resolution numbers 11 and 12 were distributed and posted to the Warren County website on Tuesday, January 14th. Proclamations before you are number 1, Mental Wellness Month, number 2, Blood Donor Month, number 3, Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and number 4, Radon Action Month. There are 12 floor resolutions, all of which will need to be brought to the floor. So we'll start with number 1.
Okay, motion to bring floor resolution number 1 to the board. Floor, motion by Supervisor Runyon. Do we have a second? Second by Supervisor Bean. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Floor resolution number 1 will be, now be resolution number 21. Floor resolution number 2.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 2 to the floor. Motion by Supervisor Durassi. Do we have a second? Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Floor resolution number 2 will now be resolution number 22. Floor resolution number 3.
Motion to bring floor resolution Supervisor Runyon. Do we have a second? Supervisor Bean. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 3 will now be resolution number 23. Floor resolution number 4.
Motion by Supervisor Runyon, second to bring floor resolution number 4 to the floor. Supervisor Schreiner, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 4 will now be resolution number 24. Floor resolution number 5.
Or is it Supervisor Runyon makes motion to bring it to the floor. Do we have a second? Supervisor Driscoll, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 5 will now be resolution number 25. Floor resolution number 6.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 6 to the floor. Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Turner. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 6 will now be resolution number 26. Floor resolution number 7.
Number 7, floor resolution Supervisor Runyon. Any seconds? Supervisor Bruno. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 7 will now be resolution number 27. Floor resolution number 8.
Number 8. Anybody want Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Wild. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 8 will now be resolution number 28. Floor resolution number 9.
Motion bring floor resolution number 9 Motion by Supervisor Strauss, second by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Passed.
Floor resolution number 9 will now be resolution number 29. Floor resolution number 10.
Motion to bring floor resolution Supervisor Gilligan. Do we have a second? Supervisor Bruno? Any discussion? All those in favor of floor resolution number 10, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 10 will now be resolution number 30. Floor resolution number 11.
Motion to bring number 11 Supervisor Hanover, second by Supervisor Bean. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 11 will now be resolution number 31 and floor resolution number 12.
Floor Supervisor Bruno, second by Supervisor Conover. Bring floor resolution number 12 to floor. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, floor resolution number 12 will now be resolution number 32. I would note that resolution numbers 24, 26, and 28 will be roll call votes.
Any further discussion or public comments on any resolutions? Supervisor Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 454, this is one that I requested tabling on the 3rd of January. It's the credit purchase agreement with the solar entity that's going to be built at the airport. I know there's some questions before, but I did work with the county attorney through some of the negotiations. I think we're in a good spot, but if we do need to discuss this, we'd have to go into executive session. So if anybody wants an executive session, they can ask for one.
Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, I'd ask to go into executive session on 454.
We have a motion to go into executive session. Do we have a second to go into executive session? Supervisor E2. Any discussion? All those favor,
Could I clarify what the basis is for that?
Sure.
So the basis is actually going to be, going to be under Public Officers Law, Section 108, subsection 3, which is an exemption from the open meetings law for any matter that's made confidential by federal or state law. And specifically, the executive session would be for the purposes of having attorney-client communications between the county attorney and the Board of Supervisors, who's the client, regarding the credit purchase and sale agreement and matters surrounding Next Amp. And I would also ask that the superintendent of public works be permitted to stay and remain for that executive session.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Let's vote on going to the executive. All those five is saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll close.